Hello everyone, Draco Magnius here for yet another lesson in Wizardry. Today we will be covering... Oops, accidentally tapped my wand. We will be covering a couple of our new spells, our newest familiars, some info about the Gladiator, and a tale about a young shepherd boy. Of course, we start as per usual with our new spells, only two this time, first of which is Frostbite. Turn a hot-tempered foe into a block of ice. Aim this spell at the chosen point, and the temperature there will plummet, turning the very air to solid ice. Not only can Frostbite be used to attack enemies in this way, but it can also put out fires and freeze moving objects on the spot. On a related note, sages agree that aspiring wizards should always carry a good supply of water with them, since learning how water responds to changing temperature is the key to understand the many principles of advanced magic. But without further ado, now it's time for me to show you how to draw this spell exactly with your wand. Alright, now this is one of the harder ones to master, but once you get it, it is pretty simple afterwards. Okay, so we'll start roughly, let's look at the video a little bit to see, that should be a good starting point, right here. So then we go down, go back this way, go down a little more, then back up, and that finishes the first line. Now we're going to go down and back. You're trying to make like a diamond shape, I suppose would be the best way to put it, but it has all those extra bits. Perhaps try imagining, I guess a lightning bolt kind of, but it arcs up. It's hard to explain this spell's exact shape, I suppose, but I mean, seeing is better than explaining in some cases. Some people learn better with the auditory explanation, some people learn better with actually seeing the drawing. But let's do that one more time. Then down there. And now, one fluid motion. That was actually pretty poor. Let me try that again. Alright, now we move on to our next and final spell for this particular lesson. Alright, and next is Quicken Growth. This one's a pretty easy shape. I mean, it looks basically like two sharks passing each other, or the letter M, whichever is easy for you to remember. Anyway, give plants and flowers a great spurt of growth. Wizards are often pressed for time, and cannot wait around for plants to blossom. Should you need to bring a sapling to maturity in the blink of an eye, Quicken Growth is the spell to cast. Note that accelerating growth in such a manner has grave effect on the plant's lifespan, and is not to be undertaken lightly. That's right, I mean, if you make it grow bigger, you're raising its age. So it will die a lot sooner, that's just common sense, really. But now I will show you the actual drawing of the rune. Alright, now for Quicken Growth, like I said, it's basically an M or two sharks passing each other. So we're going to start, roughly from here. Move up, go down, go over to here, move up, curve, and down. One more time. Up, curved, curve up, down. And now fast. Alright, and that does it for our spells, ladies and gentlemen. Now we move on to go over the familiars that we got in the main series. I'll see you in just a moment. Alright, and our first friend is the Thumbelina. Small creatures that are very fond of dancing. Their graceful movements and constant activity are known to be the source of encouragement to their companions. They have no weaknesses or resistances. They are commonly born on the star. They are found in the islands north of the Summerlands, which is why I was a bit confused when Tommy in Ding Dong Dell happened to have one, because that's a decent bit away. Unless he had a ship or something, I don't see how he possibly met a Thumbelina. But I digress. They can drop Confusion Begons and Glowcaps, and know Sharpener, Pebble Pelt, and Roly-Poly. Now ours doesn't have Roly-Poly yet, so he's about to reach all of the tricks he can possibly know. Now, other forms you might find of these are the Dumbelina. These bearded creatures often feign a dumb passivity. They are in fact extremely tenacious, especially when Babanas are involved. Like its previous form, it has no weaknesses or resistance and is born under the star sign. These can be found at the Genie's Steps and drop Babanas and Star Crystals. They can know Sea Sense, Blunt, Whirligig, and more. And next here we have the Aye Aye Sir. Rendered all the more rendered all the more conspicuous by their bright yellow beards and the rapid movement of these creatures are known to befuddle their enemies. It is unknown. I am fumbling all over myself. Good golly gosh. Okay. No weaknesses or resistances. They are born under the moon. Not known where they're found. It's not known what they drop. They can have Sea Stars, Thunderbolt, Yoo-Hoo, and more. Sorry about all the fumbles. Jeez, I really need to get my thoughts together. Maybe I should do practice runs of this, honestly. Oh dear. Next we have the Aye Aye Catcher. Though their ribbons and flowers make them look like pampered pets, these creatures are famed for their capacity to save companions from catastrophe. It is unknown where they are found. It is unknown what they might drop. But they are born under the moon sign, and like all other forms of Thumbelina, they don't have any weaknesses or resistances. These can know Ray of Light, Mighty Light, Upsy Daisy, and more. And now we move on to our next familiar. I will meet you at that page. And here we have the Seed Sprite Sunny. Though born from thorny flowers, the disposition of these creatures is anything but prickly. In battle, they support their companions with all manner of strange powers. Now, they are resistant to light, but weak to fire. They are born under the star sign and can be found in the islands north of the Summerlands. Again, interesting how one was in the Golden Grove. Maybe I suppose that would explain how Tommy came across a Thumbelina. Maybe it was also born in the Golden Grove. Who can say? But anyway. Seed Sprites drop Sleep Begons and Slumber Knot leaves. They can know Drowsy Drops, Water Bomb, and Healing Tear, meaning that Sunny now has all the abilities that he is going to know at this form. Or at this point in time, I should say. Anywho. Next we have the Sprout Sprite. Flower buds grow from the heads of these creatures as they get older, becoming quite a burden in later life. Should you see one looking down, it's probably resting its neck. Just like the previous form, it is resistant to light but weak to fire. Born under the moon sign, it is unknown where they could be found, but they drop planet drops and snowflakes. Now, they know Bubble Bath, Razzle Dazzle, Healing Rain, and more. Next on the list we have the Sweet Pea Sprite. With buds atop their heads already in bloom, Sweet Pea Sprites are always full of joy, drawing energy and inspiration from the world around them. Like the other forms, they are resistant to light but weak to fire, but born under the star sign, unknown where they could be found, and if they could be found, what they drop is also unknown. They can know Second Wind, Water Cannon, Sharpener, and more. And last on this list we have the Sugar Plum Sprite. Sugar Plum Sprites grow fruits on their heads that are said to contain their very souls. Indeed, they are unable to live without them. Like all forms of the sprites, they are resistant to light and weak to fire. They are also born under the star sign. It is unknown where they could be found or what they drop, but they can know Snowblower, Aurora Curialis, Polar Puff, and more. But with that, we move on to the Gladiator and get more information on him. Alright, Legendary Beasts number 2. The Great Stag of the Grove. A roaring red stag that protects its bountiful forest home. This proud beast is usually found near the spring in the Golden Grove. Though its antlers change appearance on a regular basis, it is the same stag that has guarded the forest since time immemorial. Its mighty roar is used for both for summoning the forest beasts and attacking enemies directly. We still have more to read, because just like the Guardian of the Forest, the Gladiator has his own entry in our book. So I will meet you in just a moment when I get to that page. And here he is, the Gladiator. I'll let it play through its animations before we go down, as I need to focus on this particular screen so we can see them. So I'll let him strut his stuff and flex a bit. Ooh, that was a nice one. Alright, I think that's all of them, but I'll give him a few more seconds just to be sure. Yeah, that's definitely all of them, because he's going to do the big strike next. Right? Yeah, okay. Gladiator. A towering forest guardian who uses its fearsome might to punish those who would sully its woodland home. The gladiator's low roar can be heard throughout the Golden Grove, summoning other creatures to help repel invaders. We never did see that ability, but I suppose if it's mentioning here, it must be something it can do. It is weak to storm, as I mentioned, but we didn't have any access to storm spells, so... oh well. It is unknown what sign it is born under, but its habitat is unmistakably the Golden Grove. It drops the Spirit of the Glade, and its notable attack is the great beast swings its sword in a mighty arc, casting untold damage to all who stand within reach. Alright, with all of this said and done, we move on to our last section of this lesson. We got a story after restoring the Spring of Life, so it's time to read the story, The Shepherd Boy. So I'll be right back in just a moment to cover this story. The 8th tale, The Shepherd Boy. The lazy sun. 2 shepherds who were father and son worked together in the fields. The father looked after the sheep from morning till night, constantly patrolling the pasture and looking for wolves. The son, however, spent every day at leisure, staring into the distance and not lifting a finger to help his father. One day, the father turned to his son and said with regret, "I'm getting old, and shall soon be retiring. Though you are my only son, it has become clear to me that you have no enthusiasm for shepherding. I'm starting to think that I should be better in trusting my flock to someone else." The son was quite shocked, for the flock was his only livelihood, and resolved to start assisting his father in the fields, chasing sheep, tending grass, and so on. Alas, he soon grew tired of such tasks. At a loss as to what to do, the son supposed he should pay a visit to old Father Oak, the ancient tree in the deep dark wood, possessed of infinite wisdom on all matters. Old Father Oak, is there not some manner of fruit that I can swallow to excite my enthusiasm?" the son asked in vexation. "I'm afraid such things do not exist," replied Father Oak. "There is, however, a fountain hidden deep within the nearby forest. Drinking of its waters provides a goodly dose of energy." The fountain. The son traveled in the direction indicated by old Father Oak until he came to the fountain and tested its cool surface with his hands. "I shall take some of this water home with me," he thought, before realizing that he had no vessel in which to carry it. "Alas, I must return home empty-handed," he lamented. The son was soon about to go back to fetch a jug when he decided to sample a mouthful of the fountain's water. Sure enough, he immediately felt a great surge of energy that old Father Oak had predicted, and used his axe to chop down a nearby tree, carving it into a pitcher that was almost as big as himself. Once the pitcher was finished, the son filled it with the water from the fountain and made for home. The vessel was very heavy, and the journey was a long one. He nearly gave up on several occasions, but every time he felt like abandoning his journey, he would stop by the wayside and take another gulp of the water from the pitcher. And eventually, he arrived back home. "I have enough water here to last a lifetime," the son thought, and with a sigh of relief, he was very weary, and he fell into bed to sleep soundly till morning. The pitcher. The son awoke from his slumber and resolved to take another drink of the water from the pitcher. "Oh, how full of life I am!" he exclaimed happily, and set about his duties at double the usual speed. As he did so, he resolved that no one else must be allowed to drink the precious water in the pitcher. In the days that followed, the son spent much of his time ensuring that no one went near his pitcher. Yet he took care to attend to his chores while he did so, knowing that his father would otherwise be angry. Whenever a villager approached the pitcher for a drink of water, the son would interrupt his own labors and offer a cup of a different water, thus preventing any of the water in his pitcher from going to waste. He was also reluctant to waste the water from the fountain on himself, and so worked hard every day without touching it. Then, on one very hot day, the son had been hard at work in the fields, and he realized that a terrible thing had happened. The water. The water had evaporated in the searing heat of the sun. When the son realized the water upon which his future depended had disappeared, he was overcome with despair and collapsed upon the grass. At the sight of the son lying prone excited the villagers' concern. They rushed to see if he was all right, for the son had gained reputation in the village for being a kind and hard-working individual. On account of all the cups of water he was wont to provide thirsty villagers. Some of the villagers gave the son a drink of water as he lay there, and he was amazed at how delicious it tasted. It was the freshest, cleanest water that he had ever drank, and what's more, it gave him the same surge of energy that the water from the fountain had done. His father stood next to him and said kindly, "No water on earth can compare to the first water you drink after sweating all day." "Why, I should think it's a fair sight better than water from the fountain," for the father knew that his son had visited the fountain. The son rose to his feet and smiled back to his father. "You're very right, father. It truly is better by far. Hard toil brings its own rewards." But with that, we're going to end our lesson here for the day. I'll see you all in the next one. And remember, study hard.